Thank you, Mr. President, for hosting such a critical debate in your term and giving me the opportunity to speak in this historic chamber tonight. Can I just say thank you to everyone who's also stayed behind just for the debate. Like any good humanities student, I understand the importance of definitions. Tonight, we need to have a working definition of the concept central to this motion. What is being woke today, and how has it changed? We see this term used a lot. So much so, it can sometimes seem as redundant as union slate names. You'll find it being used synonymously with social justice, disparaging curriculum reforms, and plastered all over social media and news outlets. The Daily Mail will tell you about the plague of wokedom, and The Guardian will tell you how you go about finding Mr. Woke. Whilst I'm sure my inner Carrie Bradshaw would find the search for Mr. Woke thrilling, it is worth noting the duality of the term. Initially, being woke was about championing awareness for the social injustice going on in the world, and in some sense, a rebellion against the values and impression of the state. However, as time has gone on, it has become harder to pin down the exact definition of the word. Few activists would call for more woke stances. Today, it has taken on a more pejorative sense, which has underlying implications of moral grandstanding and performative activism. In order to give us a working definition of woke, it is important to distinguish between the values that being woke is supposed to represent, such as tolerance, forgiveness, and respect, against woke culture, which is a distortion of these principles of social justice. Before I continue, though, it is my duty, and indeed my honour, to introduce the opposition. Opening the case for opposition tonight, you'll hear from Alex Jackson, a press and sponsorship officer here at the Union, a fellow committee member who I've been lucky enough to get to know better this term. But if you're not sure who Alex Jackson is, he's just the least well-known committee member from New College, so irrelevant that he's on the term card as Alex Jackman. Next up will be Yasmin Benoit, a multi-award-winning asexual activist, model, and researcher who launched the UK's first asexual rights initiative with Stonewall. I'm sure she will be a formidable speaker tonight, but I just hope she's put as much effort into her speech as she does into continually posting on her Instagram story. Continuing the case for opposition, you'll hear from James Lindsay, an American mathematician, author, and cultural critic. Initially, I tried to prepare for this roast by looking at James' social media. However, this provided no results since he's banned on Twitter, unfortunately. Therefore, it might not come as a surprise he's referred to in an article in The Atlantic announcing his intention to vote for Trump in the 2020 election, arguing that the danger of wokeness is much greater than that of a Trump presidency. I'm sure we'll hear more about this from him, though. Closing the case for opposition, you'll hear from Benjamin Butterworth, a senior reporter at The Eye. He's also contributed to The Guardian, Washington Post, and The Independent. A quick look through his recent tweets led to alarming results. However, one tweet in particular stands out to me, and I quote, "The correct opinion is that bounty is delicious." If the opposition holds such views tonight, I'm sure the proposition will be a shoo-in for the win. Mr. President, these are your guests, and they are most welcome. Firstly, in proposition today, I want to argue that the culture woke values have created betray the very principles of social justice. Firstly, woke culture prioritizes performative displays above real social justice. Displays do not solve the problem, but merely hide it under the guise of aesthetic Instagram infographics. Whilst there are activists and others who are educated on the cause, there is a large majority of people who show support online but are actually ignorant about the very issues they discuss. I think we can all agree that posting on social media gives us a sense of gratification, whether it's that end-of-term dump, a timely profile picture change, or the overdone matriculation post. Sorry, freshers, but we've all been there. It gives us that all-important dopamine hit. However, this can be very harmful. Posting on social media makes us feel that we've done our bit. The ignorance, if allowed to fester, can undermine the very causes we are trying so hard to fight for. The danger this poses, though, is not the post in itself, but the lack of education about these matters. Whilst raising awareness goes some way to solving the problem, it is no substitute for real change. The events of June 2020 show there is a disjunct between posts and social media and reality. About 28 million Instagram users participated in the Blackout Tuesday movement, which involved users posting a blacked out square image to show support for the George Floyd protests. By contrast, only 13 million people had actually signed the petition to arrest the police officers who were involved in the murder of George Floyd. Even if we accept that awareness is important, there has become a tribal necessity for virtue signalling. There almost becomes a competition among those who can champion these issues the loudest. Those who enact real change on a local level are sidelined for acting quietly. Secondly, this problem is not solely linked to individuals, but also bigger corporations. Like Walmart, the company changes its Twitter avatar for Pride Month, yet has donated to the campaigns of those who are actively voting against LGBTQ+ rights. A report into this found that Stuart Walton, a director of Walmart, gave $16,600 to the sponsors of anti-trans bills since 2018, according to campaign finance records. The image of these companies as progressive is quickly brought down by their financial backing of initiatives against trans rights. There is a discrepancy between figurative support and concrete action. It is too easy for companies like this to shield prejudice behind the performative activism social media enables. Thirdly, woke culture allows little room for nuance. There's a tendency to paint everyone with the same brush and condemn everyone with the same punishment. Social exclusion, or a term we are intimately familiar with at the Union, cancel culture, with some of us being just one student article away from being cancelled ourselves. There are groups which are disproportionately affected by cancel culture and the culture of shame it creates. Lindsay Lohan and Amanda Bynes were cancelled for their struggles with drug addiction and mental health. This left them stagnated in their careers as the public's perception changed. However, men who have struggled with similar issues, such as Ben Affleck, have not seen the same degree of stagnation. There is a tendency when discussing cancel culture to vilify individuals instead of looking at the systemic issues as a whole. Rowan Atkinson compares online cancel culture to a medieval mob roaming down the streets looking for someone to burn. Members of the mob who are culpable or share similar views are able to hide under the condemnation of public figures. There does seem to be a mob mentality whereby on most issues a consensus view forms as gospel. This creates a fear of starting conversations. As members of this society, set up by junior members facing pressure from university authorities, we are well aware of the importance of having a free and open discourse. Woke culture stands directly opposed to these very principles you and I believe in. Social justice is betrayed by woke culture and the performative stances which accompany it. Woke culture does not further real change, but merely gesture at it. If we are to progress as a society with a firm belief in tolerance, respect, and forgiveness, we must recognise the danger these stances pose to the very values you and I care about. I urge you to vote proposition tonight so that we can, in turn, give the next generation the chance to shape the conversation. Thank you.